Today is March 21st, 2015. Joining us on the porch is local musician Gary Carpentier.
The best place for family. What are you waiting for? Where friendships run deeper. Come join us on the porch. So glad you're on the
porch. You may not have guessed, but you're here for another exciting episode of On the Porch Radio Hour. I'm standing next to tonight's guest, Gary Carpentier, and I have to tell you, what a funny story it is how we met and how Gary got here. And you can tell just by the introduction that it's funny. I have to throw out this disclaimer first that Gary has given me full permission to tell some of this story because some of how we met was on an anonymous level, but I do have permission, so I'm going to send him out a thank you for that. About 6 months or so ago, Gary and I were in Minnesota, in an undisclosed location in Minnesota, at a conference titled, I Am Not That Just Because It's My Last Name. My last name is not my career. This is how we met. We were there, and I grew up with the last name Wood, and my grandfather, also with the same last name, had an incredible wood shop, and we would work, and I learned a lot of good woodworking stuff. So I was in a woodworking workshop, listening to a man lecture about how just because he grew up with the last name Table Saw didn't mean that he worked in a wood shop. So Robert Table Saw was giving this incredible lecture. It was very moving, and there was a young man sitting next to me who kept saying things like, "Oh, I know. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that all the time. Oh, man." And then he turned to me and he's like, "You get it, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I totally get it." And so then at one point he also whispered that, I should just tell everybody I'm French and go by the French name Carpentier. Or I don't remember even how he said it, but I was like, no, you shouldn't. But there was a minute where I thought, if I could pronounce my last name Woad, I probably would have. But I couldn't. And I'm kind of glad. I mean, at some point I wished I could have called myself Matthew Woad, but people would have called me Mark Woad and Mike Woad. They never get my name right. Nobody ever knows my name is Matthew. And I've been, I was, at that point, I was thinking about just going with the last name Wood. I was just going to be like Prince. I was just going to have one name, like the Cougar, or like, Pele. Yeah, I was just going to have one name. I was just going to be Wood. And then I thought, no, I live in a place where people might have a lot of fun with that too. So I left it. But there we were, Gary Carpentier and I, giving a lot of amens to Mr. Table Saw because we were feeling the pain. And then there was a keynote speaker during lunch, Jerry archaeologist, who was actually an underwater welder, but people were like, "Oh, wow, you dig for bones and like pottery and stuff?" And he's like, "No, I work around ships." And then we started talking about another guy who was there, who actually kind of organized this whole conference. His name was William Submarine Mechanic, and he was like, "Geez, me and Mr. Archaeologist should probably switch jobs." But we were like, no, keep the last name and do something different. It was very inspiring, and we were going to have a 1,000,000-man march, but there's not a lot of folks that, there weren't a lot of us there. But we were working on it, and the lectures were nice, and the food was good. It was cooked by a guy with the last name of Lawnmower, which was, neat. It's like, wow, this is intense. And so Gary and I had a lot of fun, and we started talking about things that we actually do. And Gary said, "Hey, dude, don't tell anybody, but my dad one time made a large TV stand out of bowling pins, and it's really awesome. Just don't just don't, because then they'll actually think I'm a carpenter, and which is a very fancy carpenter that can make TV stands out of bowling pins. And I was like, wow, yeah, no, I won't tell anybody that I'm in the middle of making a canoe. And I have 2 wood shops actually, and so there we were. And I said, so what is it that you actually do? And he's like, well, I do a lot of cool things, which we'll get into later. But some of them include semi-professional wrestling and music. And so when you're combining things like that, you can only go places. So we'll get into that later. But for now, I'm so glad everyone's here. And Gary, you're on the porch.
Now I know what you mean when you said those words to me. Now's the moment I will see what I'm finally meant to be. And the script of life is last, up to you to choose the cast. For if you can't change the past, you better start writing fast. So as our story ends, did you find the missing trend? It's not always what was said, but what happens in the end. And
This is the point of our show where I would normally explain to you how we were sponsored by somebody. Somebody like Wood Chips or Shredded Tires or Porcelain Clown Dolls. I'm assuming that because our listeners are fairly educated, those aren't real sponsors. I'm sad to explain this to you, and I'm sorry if I'm breaking your hearts. But please understand, it's for you. I do that for your entertainment and because of the love that you give us. And we wouldn't have our show if it wasn't for listeners like you, because you value what we do. And it's because you value what we do that we do what we do when we do it every Thursday. So thanks for being here and being part of our family and part of our community. And I'm going to get into this in a little bit later. But the whole reason I'm explaining this is because I'm now going to start talking about ways that you can help sponsor the radio show. And as we have constant listeners and consistent listeners, it's important that they know that what I'm talking about right now isn't one of those fake sponsors. Because you're not fake, people. You're real. And because you're real, you keep it real. So again, we're going to get into this more later, but think about how you could help sponsor and support On the Porch Radio Hour so that we can keep bringing the guests that we do, and we can keep doing the things that we do, and we can go on location. We held the show at the Coffee Connection, and this summer we're working on being able to record and broadcast live from the Oswego County Fair, and doing some things like that. And with your sponsorship, we can make that possible. I'm not going to talk about your cup of coffee because I think that's a pretty important thing. So I'm not going to ask you to give up your cup of coffee every day, because for the price of a cup of coffee, you could buy a cup of coffee and enjoy your day. And you should do that. But for the price of other things, which maybe we can get into later, because there are things that we can give you back. You deserve them. On the Porch Radio Hour could be brought to you by you.
Forgive me, Father, for I've sinned.
Oh, don't worry about that, young lass. I'm sure there are worse things in this world than what you have done.
Well, thanks, Father, but you see, I was preparing our St. Patrick's Day feast and...
Ah, dinner. You know why the Irishman only ate 239 beans for dinner, don't you?
What? No, I don't.
Because if he ate one more, it would have been too farty.
I see, Father, funny, but I was making this large dinner for our family, and my husband called and said he might stop by and visit his poker friends, and...
Oh, that reminds me of an Irishman who lost all of his money in one hand of poker and then died. One of the other men was told to go tell this man's wife what happened. The man arrived at the house and explained to the wife, "Your husband lost his money playing poker and is afraid to come home." To which the wife replied, "You go tell him to drop dead." And the man said, "Okay, I'll go do that."
I'm sorry, but I don't understand.
And that reminds me of a time that two Irishmen were walking through a cemetery. They stopped at a headstone that read, "Here lies a politician and an honest man." One of the Irishmen turned to the other and said, "Come no. How do you suppose they got them both in there?"
Father, I'm a good woman that comes from a good farming family, and when...
Yes, the farm. One farmer was overheard telling another farmer, "My cow fell in a hole, and I had to shoot it." The second farmer asked, "Did you shoot it in the hole?" To which the first replied, "No, I shot it in the head."
I have one.
You do? Oh, go ahead, my lady.
A farmer was shocked to find out his cows were suffering from blue tongue. He then told the vet, "I didn't even know they had cell phones."
Hi, that's fantastic. This is exciting.
Exciting? Oh, Father, how can you tell if an Irishman is having a good time?
I'm not sure.
He's doubling over with laughter.
Yes, you're getting it now. What would you call an Irishman who's bouncing off the walls?
I don't know. What would you call him?
Ricochet.
Here's one. What's the difference between an Irish wedding and an Irish funeral?
Oh, but there could be some, I'm sure.
The funeral has one less drunk.
Oh, yes. How about another one?
Okay. What do you call an Irishman in the knockout round of the World Cup?
Well,
The referee.
of course. Did you hear about the Irish winner of the beauty contest?
No, I didn't.
Me either. How about you tell one more for me?
What would you call a large Irish spider?
Well, I can't say that I know.
A Paddy Longlegs?
That's right. You feel so much better now, don't you?
Yes, I do. I was just so worried about my husband losing money, and then...
No. Don't worry about a thing. Humor is the greatest gift. But also remember this. Did you know you can never borrow money from a leprechaun?
I always thought...
But of course you can't. They're always a little short. Now forget about the penance and go out into the world and share the gift of laughter. You're listening to On the Porch Radio Hour. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in just a minute.
What's happening in Central New York is brought to us by I Heart Oswego. The third annual Healthy Baby Expo welcomes families to attend the 2015 Great Cloth Diaper Change on Saturday, April 18, 2015, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Elam Grace Church, located on West 1st Street in Oswego, New York. This is a family-oriented free event that will feature fun activities, educational information, and a vendor fair for future and new parents, grandparents, and infant caregivers. Participants will find much-needed information about infant safety, healthy nutrition, baby massage, baby basics, breastfeeding, car seat safety, and more. Visit healthybabyexpo.com for more information. Civil rights photographer Matt Heron will give a free artist talk at 7 p.m. Tuesday, March 24th in SUNY Oswego's Marano Campus Center Auditorium. Heron's photographs of the civil rights movement in the mid-1960s have appeared in publications around the globe. The CNY Arts Center hosts a Writers' Cafe the last Sunday of the month, with the next session on March 29th. The Art Center is also currently offering adult painting classes and presents a dessert theater series, continuing this evening with John, His Story. Visit cnyartscenter.com for more information. The Baldwinsville Theater Guild presents Jekyll and Hyde, the musical. The show runs through March 28. Visit www.baldwinsvilletheaterguild.org for more information. The CNY Playhouse presents Neil Simon's play, God's Favorite. The show runs through March 28th. Visit cnyplayhouse.com for more information. The Oswego Music Hall presents Jeff Haynes, who performs tonight at 7:30 p.m. They also present a new songwriter series, The Hook, on Friday, April 3rd, featuring Michael Judge, Colleen Cateau, and Scott Regan. Visit oswegomusichall.org for more information. The Red Room sessions at the Wooden Apple Farmstead are a time for songwriters, musicians, and anyone else who wants to build their musical skill and knowledge to get together. We share songs we're working on, bounce musical ideas off each other, and we usually have time to just play a little music. This is a supportive environment where all levels of songwriting and musical experience are welcome. It's the final Sunday of each month. The next session is March 29th at 6 p.m.
Growing up an athlete, a huge sports fan, and formerly on NBC's The Voice, Gary Carpentier is carving a really cool path for himself, and I'm really glad that he's a guest on the Porch. Thanks for being here, Gary.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So, we'll get to that path.
Yeah.
But of course, since you're our musical guest, I have to talk to you about music first.
Of course.
On my Pandora station. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to talk about music, my music. You're just here, and I'm just going to So anyway, on my Pandora stations, I have a station called the Fairfield 4.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if you've heard of them.
I have not.
Okay.
But I feel like I should.
Yeah, I feel like you should too, because I've learned that you're a huge fan of barbershop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Massive.
That's so cool. So when did you start listening to barbershop?
I started listening to it because I've been in chorus since about third grade. And Oswego High School has always been a really good music program, and we've always had really good chorus, and I was in chamber singers for a long time. So we utilized a lot of the barbershop techniques, like with harmonizing and whatnot, and I started listening to it like when probably when I was like 16, 17, and I'll be 24 this year, and I'm obsessed with it. It's just, there's nothing better than hearing like a choir or like just, a group of people that can harmonize like with their voices and just make it so it's just like empowering. It's a very underutilized type of music, I think, at least. So
yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
There's a group of older gentlemen that I see every once in a while in the Oswego area that do some barbershop stuff.
Yeah, well, there's actually a chorus out there. The Oswego Alliance Church out on Thompson Road there.
Okay.
I've been out there. Snowballers, I think is their name.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my former choir directors, Barney Johnson, is like he's the director of that. And I've gone out there and sang with them. It's a bunch. I'm probably the youngest one that goes there.
I'm sure.
Yeah. A lot of them are like, like mid 40s and upper, but it's really cool. It's really cool that we have something like that around here.
It's really cool. Yeah. It's one of those, one of the things that we love to talk about here on the show. It's just they're like an undiscovered, underutilized, if that's the right word, group. And it's really cool.
Yeah.
So good for you for being part of that too. That's wicked fun.
Yeah.
So how did you discover two things? How did you discover barbershop, and how did you discover yourself as a singer?
I discovered barbershop just by, I live on YouTube, basically.
All right.
You could actually heard of this group called Vocal Spectrum, and they have one of the best singers I've ever heard in my life. His name's Tim Warwick, and he's got like a 9-octave range. It's just insane how loud. They call him the Iron Lung because he, like in barbershop, they have the tags, like the last like 30 seconds of the song, where usually one part's sustaining and all the other parts are moving, and then they end up in a major or minor chord. And one of the videos I saw, he held out like one of the highest notes I've ever heard in my life for like 35 strong seconds.
Oh, man.
And it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you've sang ever,
right.
hold a note for 10 seconds is like you're about to pass out.
Yeah.
But I used to watch a bunch of tags. That's how I got into it. And then I started watching, then like I said, my former director there, Barney Johnson, he brought me out to one of his classes, and I went and I just fell in love with it. So I watch all the YouTube videos I can, and so that's how I found that. I still watch them to this day. I was actually watching them earlier today. That's what I do, is I just watch a bunch of them. And then finding like myself as a singer is, like I said, I've always been singing. I didn't really play out actual gigs till probably after I left college, just because it's always been a part of my life, but hasn't been like my main focus till the last couple of years here. So,
sure.
But yeah, I love it, and I'm blessed that I have the opportunities to play where I am, like being here and all that fun stuff. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you're playing out at least once a week now?
I play 2-3 times a week. Yep.
Awesome.
I play primarily Old City on Tuesday and Wednesday nights with John McConnell, who I know has been on here, and I played with him. I played with Mark Warner. I played with Mark Wall, all those kind of guys, and it's really cool that we have something like that around town and around this community where, everyone can get together and we enjoy the sound of music and all that fun stuff. And
I agree. That's good for you, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So so now I have to get off of music for just a second.
Yeah.
I'm gonna step off the path. So that I was saying some stuff about you earlier and about how we met, and some of that was true.
Some of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Right. And so one piece that I need to make sure everybody knows is true, because it's on my sheet. So I'm going to talk about it.
Go ahead. It's fine.
You're currently engaged in semi-professional wrestling.
Yes.
That blew my mind. I was reading that and I thought, all right,
pretty gnarly.
we got to talk about this. Because that's just...
Yeah.
That's cool. So you're not talking about like hanging out in your buddy's living room and just like diving off the back of the couch.
This is like legitimate in a ring, getting slammed, like power bombed, body slammed, chopped by other guys that have inspiring dreams to do this. And yeah, there's a bunch of us. It's crazy.
All right. So how did you get suckered into this?
Well, before growing up, as you said, I've always been around sports and whatnot. I actually didn't grow up watching wrestling at all. I kind of only got into it probably the last like 6-7 years. But I was playing baseball, and I've always been a competitor, and I like the whole like teamwork thing. And then I just, I kind of had like a major life-changing like epiphany kind of like about a year ago, and it's just something I've always wanted to do. And then I went to I go up to East Syracuse. I go to the Shopping Town Mall is where it's in. It's in the Sears wing.
As you should.
Yeah, as you should.
You should be like professional wrestling in the Sears wing.
Yeah, exactly.
No doubt.
Why wouldn't you? But I go every Tuesday, Thursday nights. I've been going for the last like 4 or 5 months. I had to take some time off because my dad had big surgery, and I had to like help out with him a little bit and stuff.
Sure.
But back in the full swing of it, and I go and I just learn the ins and outs of professional wrestling, trained by some really, really, really talented guys, and some guys that have been to the top, and it's really cool. It's what I aspire to do, and it's kind of my like music and wrestling are like my hand in hand thing that don't go hand in hand.
Well, I was just gonna say, Gina and I have committed ourselves to a life of combining all of the things that we love to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And if something doesn't isn't working, then we, but we love to do it. We make it work.
Yeah.
And if something new comes along, we're like, I got to make this work.
Go for it.
So I'm now, and this is really none of my business, but I'm now on a mission in trying to figure out how Gary Carpentier can combine, professional wrestling and music.
Honky Tonk Man did it.
That's right.
Yeah, he did
That's
it.
right. And I was just going to say, don't smash your guitar on people, but that was his shtick.
Right, yeah.
And that's such a great segue into my next question. Have you developed your signature move yet?
You know what's funny is my little brother is obsessed with wrestling, has all the video games and stuff.
All right.
So I've been playing them, too. Like, if got a free time or something,
Yeah.
I'll sit down and turn on the Xbox and I'll play it. And you actually have a mode where you can go in and create a finisher. It gives you certain holds and you can do like taunts and stuff in it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good one. I don't want to unveil it yet.
No, that's cool,
Any of
man.
My
Yeah.
opponents are going to be listening.
That's right. Get the edge.
I've been doing that. I just, but yeah, I mean, it'll happen more because I'm only still learning. Some of the basics of it. So I mean, it's going to take a little bit to get into it, but I'm excited for where it leads, and then I'll have to come here or you can come to my shows and see the finishing move.
Yes.
There.
Yeah, I will. And I'll wear the T-shirt.
Yeah,
and
there you go, yeah.
I'm pumped. This is so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Can I help you develop your name too?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Awesome. Have you started at all?
Not really.
All right.
I've gotten actually my buddy Sean, who I know is listening. Hi, Sean Langwin.
Hey,
you could be
Sean.
a sponsor. You could.
Because we have people like. Are you ready for this? Gary Carpentier top tier. I'm just gonna be
like
emailing you like every day now. All right, dude, what do you think of this?
Totally fine with it.
Yeah, all right,
Totally
cool.
fine with it. But Sean actually gave me the gimmick of, coming out as like that movie star guy that like you don't touch the money maker.
That's right.
And then because I have like like the comb over and stuff.
Sure.
His idea was like when I get mad to like Hulk up, like how he used to do his thing.
Right.
I'll come like pointing to the crowd where I'd have a little bit of hair gel and because like I would have nice hair,
right,
and then just like go and make it crazy, and that's where I just unleash the beast.
Snap, yeah.
So that's the coolest thing I've heard so far. So
and you sing barbershop. I mean, it all like
it's all
coming together. Now you can't be the barber.
No,
that's happened.
That's Brutus Beefcake.
Yes,
the barber.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And he used to like give people a trim once he knocked him out.
Big
like garden loppers.
Garden shears. It's just like that's not safe.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I have to throw this out to you. Could be Gary Carpentier, but I'm just this is what happens when I sit around for 12 hours trying to wait for work. I just am like, boom. So anyway. Thanks for sharing that because I'm into it and therefore I think our listeners should be.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that we were talking about it before. It's just one of those things you don't really hear about people doing at all. And like I'll even tell some of my closest friends, like they're like, "Where do you go every Tuesday and Thursday?" I'm like, "Oh well, if you really want to know." And then they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
I'm just dropping elbows.
Right? Yeah.
What do you think I'm doing? Off the top rope.
Little macho man, Just doing it up.
Snapping into it with my Slim Jims. Shoot. Oh, this is okay. Yeah, I'm gonna move on, but this is. We'll chat.
Yeah, for sure.
It's good stuff.
For sure.
So you have 3 younger brothers.
I do.
How old?
My brother, I'm the oldest at 24. My brother Richie just turned 21 in June. Well, last June. Mm-hmm. So, he'll be 22 soon. My brother Kevin is 20. He'll be 21 soon. They're only 15 months apart. So
nice.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
And then my littlest brother is Jimmy. He just turned 16 in January, excuse me. Yeah, it's just nuts that like he can drive now.
Oh yeah,
he has like his permit, and he's going through this awkward like stage where he's growing into his body. He's like an inch shorter than me. Like I'm 6 foot, but I mean he's 16 and like 95 pounds. And if a gust of wind came, he'd probably blow away. But I mean, it's a riot. It's so funny that I won't be the shortest. My brother Richie's like 5'11", so I got him beat by an inch, and that's all I care about. So.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Good for you. And as a brother, you know, like you have to worry about that. Well, not worry, but you should be concerned.
Oh yeah,
you have to care about
for
these
sure.
things. Yeah,
of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I totally agree with this. This is why I'm asking.
Right. Yeah.
All right. One last thing on my list, and then I'm gonna ask you more music stuff.
Sure.
You do impressions. Am I reading this correctly?
I do a couple impressions that I think are pretty good.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you think they're good,
they're okay.
yeah, then So did you are you prepared for me to ask?
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to just go ahead and do them?
Just lay them out. No, okay, wait, hold on. This is a cool show, so
Yeah.
we have to do this in a cool way.
We got to do this.
So I didn't think about this until just now, so bear with us. So we could do this several ways. Like you could just so-and-so and blah, blah, blah and do it. Or, you could lay one out and we could try to guess who it is.
Right.
That puts you in a difficult spot, though, because if you're the only person that thinks your impressions are good, we might be like, dude, that was not.
That's that's Mrs. Buttersworth. And I'm like, no, that was Barack Obama. Like, what are you doing?
How did you get that?
Yeah, right, what happened there?
Yeah, you're the parquet tub. And it's like, no.
Yes.
No, I'm not.
No, I was trying to be the Pillsbury Doughboy. I don't know.
That's
what's
right.
happening.
That's right. Yeah, man. Yeah. So okay. Okay. So we got off on that a little bit. That was fun. So how do we?
I can tell you what they are. We
All right.
do this. You could tell. I'll tell you what the impression is, and then you can give me something that character would talk about.
Oh yeah, include them on the interview.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, they're
do
here
that.
as well.
Oh, what's the first one? I do 2 Family Guy ones. I do Stewie Griffin and Peter Griffin from Family Guy.
Nice. Okay.
So I do those ones.
Yeah. Let's start with Stewie.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Which one's harder? Do you have to warm up?
No, I mean I can just do it.
All right.
Let's just go with it.
All right.
What
Okay.
what does Stewie want to talk about?
What do we want to ask Stewie about? Well, Stewie must know something about professional wrestling, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, Stewie Griffin. Yeah, right here. Just wanted to know how you're working on your back bumps. You working on your back bumps? Got a steel chair, man? Maybe a little baseball bat with some barbed wire? Maybe jump off a ladder? Little macho man? That's all I got.
All right. That's all we need. That was awesome. Nice. That was awesome. And we have to. Okay, now we have to go. It was Peter, right? That
yeah,
you said.
Peter.
So now this is where I have to come clean a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I'm familiar with characters,
right? Yeah,
but I don't know the show really well. So now, would Peter give Stewie a hard time about what he was just saying?
I mean, Stewie's the baby, so he doesn't really know.
Right.
They act like they can't hear him sometimes, and they have full-blown conversations, and I don't get it.
Okay.
It's just crazy Seth MacFarlane doing what he does. So
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So then we should ask, what do we want to? What's in the fridge? Peter?
Yeah, Lois. Hey, Lois. Why don't you open up the fridge in there? Tell me what's in there. Yeah. So, yeah, that one's actually pretty hard.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Cool. Nice. All right. So, what do you think? You have 2 more in there?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I do Arnold, but everyone thinks that Arnold is a lot, but Arnold's governor, and he likes to talk, and he's like, get down, Yeah, that's what I get.
that's and the governor is
I'm trying to think of the other one I know, but I do Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah,
that's my favorite.
Yeah.
No, the precious. No, nobody likes you. No, but it's still.
My day is complete.
My parents are going to be so proud.
Yo,
just
yeah,
so proud.
Yeah. This is why I ask the questions I do before the interview. So when you send information, I'm like, this is good stuff.
It's great stuff.
And this is what On the Porch is all about.
I love it.
And with sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
With sponsors, let's just throw this out there real quick. If we had sponsors like your buddy Sean, for instance, we probably could have squeezed a 5th or maybe even a 6th impression out of you, but without the funding.
And then a nice little picture of him.
Yeah,
this impression segment was brought to you by Sean.
Yeah,
Sean the Musketeer Langwin.
That's what I'm talking
there
about.
You go, right there.
You get it.
Oh,
man.
I get it.
All right. So let's dive back into music for just a minute, because in a second I'm gonna we have enough to ask you to play at least one more song.
For sure.
So the first song that you played was a great song.
Thank you.
You wrote that?
Yeah, it's called The Story. It's one of my newer originals. I wrote it probably about 3 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So it's still
fairly fresh.
Fresh out of the block.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Is the next one going to be an original as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
I was going to do covers, but then I was like, well, I might as well take a big jump off a diving board there and just go for the
top
originals.
rope, man.
Because I mean, it's just it's hard. Like when I play out, I don't want to be the nice. I like that segue right there. I don't want to be the guy on top of the ladder trying to get down the belt. Just see.
That's right. That's right.
No, I don't want to be known as the person that just goes out and plays covers and be like, oh, that's the guy that just, But when you're starting out, I think as I am, I think the easiest way is to get people to listen to is you play recognizable covers, put your own little spin on it, and then you throw in some originals. But I've gotten to the point where hopefully this summer I'll be recording an EP.
Awesome.
And because I've got enough original material, so hopefully that works out.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
That's cool, man. Well, thanks so much, Gary.
Thank you.
And thanks for being on the porch,
Dude,
too.
I had a blast.
Yeah, me
This
too.
is so much fun.
Me too, yeah.
I love this.
So, yeah, play us another one.
Sure.
Cool, thanks, man. Gary Carpentier, everyone.
Oh, stop. As the world passes, I think of where I should be, but life's not fair. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. So just walk towards the light. You must take matters into your hands. Don't back down and take the stand. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. So just walk towards the light. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. And so just walk towards the light. Thank you. All right, this is On Fire by Bruce Springsteen. Hey, little girl, is your daddy home? Did he go and leave you all alone? No, I got a bad desire. So I'm on fire. And oh, I'm on fire.
baby, is he good to you? Can he do the things that I do? I can take you higher. Oh, I'm on fire. Oh, I'm on fire.
Tonight I wake up from my dreams soaking wet and a freight train running through the middle of my head. Oh, you cool my desire. Oh, I'm on fire. Oh, I'm on fire. Oh, I'm on fire. Oh, 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 I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'm on fire.
That was awesome. That was so sick. I'm so pumped right now.
Thank you.
Good. Not bad for just throwing it right together.
that was awesome.
I'm pretty stoked right now.
was awesome.
So you like that, right? Yeah, of course you did. We get pretty high quality talent here. Pretty high quality information. Some really incredible writing. And some really, I think, fantastic delivery. You want to keep getting that, right? So, here's the deal. Reach deep into those lint-infested pockets and see what you can pull out. $5 a week, $10 a week, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Let's figure it out, man. Let's work together. How do we work together? That's a great question. Again, I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you. If you're on Facebook, which I know you are, so here's the thing. You're on right now, actually. You're currently on Facebook. So go up and click on that little magnifying glass and search On the Porch Radio Hour. And one of a couple things is going to happen. A picture of my beautiful face is going to come up, and you're going to know you're in the right spot. Or you're going to get a picture of my beautiful face behind Gina's beautiful face, and you'll know you're still in the same spot. Or you're going to find a really awesome logo with a microphone that says On the Porch Radio Hour. Yeah, guess what? You're in the right spot. And then like that and share it with your friends. That's a really cool free way to support On the Porch Radio Hour. And free, my friends, is the gateway to paid. So let me tell you how you can pay. Now that you're on Facebook and you've liked and have shared On the Porch Radio Hour, we now go to the next step. Click on a new tab and get into your email. And send me an email at ontheporchradiohour@gmail.com. Let me give that to you one more time. On the Porch Radio Hour, all one word, at gmail.com. And I'm going to get your email. First thing that's going to happen when I get your email is I'm going to read it. And then I'm going to send you an email that says, thanks. And then I'll respond to all of the information you sent. Maybe it's a question. Maybe it's a comment. And if you're not into, email and Facebook, which I know you are, but if you want to talk in person, are you ready for this? You can call on the Porch Radio Hour. Yeah, I know. You can use phones to call people. You're going to go into a little icon on your phone that looks like a phone, or at least the symbol of a phone. I don't think the icon on my phone looks like any phone I've seen in the last 10 years. But you're going to type the numbers 315-402-6159. And one of our beautiful operators is going to be standing by. I'll answer the phone. And we'll chat. And you can ask me all the questions you want, and you can tell me everything you want to do about sponsoring. So you have a business, your friend has a business, you work for a business, and they want to be supportive of the community and people in the community, and that's what we're doing. We're bringing people from the community onto the show so that you can learn about them, so that you can hear about them, and you can find out where they're going to be and all the cool things that are happening in the community. And who doesn't support that? So go ahead. Contact us on Facebook and email us and call. That phone number that I gave you also receives text messages if you're a little nervous. It's okay. You can be nervous. I'll be nervous too. And then we'll eventually work up to a relationship where we talk in person. Think about being part of On the Porch in whatever level you can be part of On the Porch. Come hang out at the farm. Find out where we're recording out in public next and come to the show. See what it's like. Talk to us about sponsorship. Send us emails. You'll have all of our contact information by the end of the show. Everybody that sponsors the radio show, we're going to have an end of the year celebration. And everybody that sponsors, no matter what level you're at, no matter what great rewards you get, no matter what great rewards you give, we're going to bring all of our sponsors out to the farm, and we're going to have a party, and we're going to have dinner, and we're going to honor and celebrate you. Think about it. Get a hold of us. Ask us whatever questions you need to, and have a great day. And thanks for your support. Thanks for listening, because if you weren't listening, we wouldn't be here. So that's really incredible, too. Thanks a lot.
Tired of facts? Everything too black and white? Ready for some gray in your life? Get ready for Theories of Life.
Imagine yourself standing next to me at a party. That's really all you need to do. You're already enjoying it. But now, imagine yourself standing next to me at a party at the food table. And in front of us is a bowl of delicious, crunchy chips. And next to that bowl is a plate full of delicious, soft, chewy cookies. Now imagine yourself a few hours later getting ready to leave that party, and you notice that there's still some chips in the bowl and there's still some cookies on the plate. Now imagine whoever's hosting this party has had a great time, and they think, we're not going to clean up. We'll just get up in the morning and clean. We've had a great day. Let's not worry about cleaning up right now. What's going to happen to those chips? What's going to happen to those cookies? You're right. They're going to go stale. Let's talk about stale for a minute, shall we? When something goes stale, you don't want to eat it. Because if you've got bread that goes stale, it gets hard. If you've got cookies that go stale, like those cookies on that plate, soft, chewy, they're going to be hard and crispy in the morning. And those hard and crispy chips that you love hard and crispy are going to be soft in the morning. This is where we take conventional wisdom and let it go stale, my friends. Let's dive in to an unconventional world here for a moment. Those folks are going to get up in the morning and they're going to think, shoot, we should have at least cleaned up the cookies and the chips because now we can't eat them. But they're wrong. They just can't eat them right now. All they have to do is take them someplace and leave them. Come back the next day. Guess what's happened? They're not gone. No. But they're gonna be, because those cookies are now soft and chewy again. And those chips are back to hard and crispy. Why? Because they went stale again. This is, my friends, is what I'm calling the re-stale theory. You let something go re-stale, which brings it back to the consistency you want to eat it in. Try it. I know what you're thinking. It may lose a little flavor. But what's more important here? That you're getting the cookies and the chips? Or that you're not? Let them go re-stale. Keep them safe. Keep them edible. And keep it real. That's Matthew Wood bringing you Theories of Life, my friends. Sleep on that.
Dreamt I was standing in the ocean, and I wanted to believe that everything around me wasn't moving, that something was sturdy, and I think I'm dreaming that you are by my side, and I wake up screaming, so scared that the light is coming too soon. And we're always moving, and I guess that I don't mind that we are always proving that we will be just fine. And I think I'm dreaming that you are by my side, and I wake up screaming, so scared that the light is coming too. I think I'm dreaming that you are by my side, and I wake up screaming, so scared that the light is coming too soon. And I think we shared a moment, I can see it in your eyes, and that memory is going nowhere inside my mind. I dreamt I was standing in the ocean, and I wanted to believe that everything around me wasn't moving, that something was sturdy, and I think I'm dreaming that you are by my side, and I wake up screaming, so scared that the light is coming too. I think I'm dreaming that you are by my side,
so scared that the light is coming too soon. Thanks.
St. Patrick's Day, 1996. An incredible time, an incredible party, and incredible memories were made. But it was the day after St. Patrick's Day in 1996 that I sat in a diner in the middle of Tonkahogan in a quiet corner thinking about all the memories that had been made the day before. When I overheard several people talking at the bar, it wasn't really a bar, we're in a diner, but the bar counter, they're all sitting there and talking about their day the day before. And as those things happen, when talking over coffee, that conversation turned into memories made from a long time past. When the elderly were kids. And as I listened and heard conversation about a tough growing up, tough childhood, growing up tough, it made me think of grandfather. A man who told stories about how his brother brought home a friend from the army, a gentleman from England, and he was introducing him to their mother, and they got talking and having a conversation. And the Englishman pulled his revolver out of his pocket, and they were talking about guns, and they were looking at it. And the gun discharged and shot off my grandfather's mother's toe. And that was what he described as just a way of life. And so it wasn't only 10 or so years before that my grandfather himself was shot in the side when he and his brothers were looking at one of their father's revolvers, and it discharged and entered one side and went out the other. And he used to show us that scar. And I remember one significant time when he showed me that scar. And that was the introduction to gun safety, which then was followed up by, now take this rifle and shoot that tin can down there on the post. And you hear a lot of conversations about people needing to be tough and what it meant to be tough, and everybody's description of tough and how that works. And working alongside my grandfather as a mason, carrying bricks and block and mixing cement, and watching him carry and put every block and every brick on a wall or in a chimney, hours and hours on end, then I would think about tough. And when I hear him tell stories about when he was in the Navy and how they would get into this amphibious boat that really just looked like a big box, and all of the soldiers sat down inside this big box, and they would go out into the water and drive up onto beaches where the front end would then fall open and everybody would run out onto the beach. And there was only one person inside that boat that ever looked over the top of the boat. Somebody needed to know where they were going. And so you would think it was the pilot or the person driving the boat. But it wasn't, because that person needed to live so that they could get the boat where it needed to go. And with bullets and rounds flying over the top of the boat, nobody really wants to put their head above, except for that one person who then carried a flag and would flag signals to the pilot. And then the pilot knew where to turn and how to get to where they were going. And that one person that put their head above that top of the boat and looked over to signal the pilot was my grandfather. And he would signal, and they would get to where they were going, and everybody would run out of the boat. And that was my grandfather's job. And so consistently, throughout my life, reminded of how tough grandfather was in my eyes. And yet, so gentle and caring. And more of like a father than a grandfather. And someone to look up to in so many ways. And so many years later, to sit by grandfather's side as we talk about these stories, and to remember how tough this man has always been and has always appeared to me. And to wonder if he holds on to that vision of being tough as much as I do. Does he carry that as much as I carry that? Does he think of himself that way? Does he see himself that way anymore? Has he lost that vision? Or is it that vision that keeps him going? Is it that vision that keeps him going when he wonders, what am I doing? Why am I here? Is it more? Is there something else there? Is it that something else that we don't think about being tough, but that's what really makes it tough? And when he was in that boat, when he was in the hospital after being shot, were those the times that he thought of Tonka Hogan's song? Was it those times that he thought of Tonka Hogan's motto and thought, this is my home? Because there's someplace else. Is there someplace else he goes, or that he would go, that was his home? Is it that home that keeps him going? The one thing that I always come back to, though, when I think about grandfather and when I think about that song, I think, yes, those two things are the same. Those two things are the same for me. And so when I get up and I leave the room and I have to get back in my car and I drive back to my home, and I think about grandfather that whole drive, all I can think is, when I see grandfather, when I think about the things we used to do together and the lives that we've spent together and apart, the one thing that comes in clearly is that I think of grandfather and I sing. This is my home. This is my only home. This is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. Should I stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. You've brought us to the end, the conclusion of yet another incredible segment of On the Porch Radio Hour. And I want to thank everybody that's been listening tonight. I want to thank everybody that's here live at the Wooden Apple Farmstead. I want to thank everybody on Concert Window. Thanks for tuning in and sticking it out, man. We're glad you guys are here. And everybody that listens to the podcast on our website, we appreciate you. We appreciate everybody that's thinking about finding other ways to support On the Porch Radio Hour. So let me end tonight by saying thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And I'm going to look forward and say thanks for being here next week, too. Have a great night and have fun until then. Thanks, Max.
On the Porch is a production of the Wooden Apple Farmstead with host Matthew Wood. Our musical director is Gina Holsapple. Our stage manager is Ray Monet. Our sound technician is Maxwell Wood. Contributing writers for this show include Matthew Wood. Special guests include Gary Carpentier. Find information about past shows, being on the porch, and much more online at ontheporch.weebly.com.